Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. So she would run and gun with the kids, okay? Well, apparently, when she was driving, she used a phrase called, "Hey lady, pick a lane." So my son is 2. She's pregnant with our next baby, right? Our son is almost 2, and he's standing up in the cart, and they're at the grocery store, and there's this woman who, let's say, is kind of a wide body, okay? And she's right in front of him. And Michael says, "Hey lady, pick a lane." And this woman turns around with this look on her face, okay? And my wife comes home and she's like, "You're not going to believe what your son said today."
That is.
So he got it from me.
Yeah.
I've literally never said that before in my life. Thank you very much. Right?
But that like perfect proof? They do what we do.
Oh, they
you know what I mean,
dude. They hear
Yeah.
everything. Even if you think you're behind closed doors and you're having a private conversation, they're listening. They're absolutely listening, and they want to be just like you.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's programmed inside them, but they don't even know it. You know,
Yeah.
I so agree. I mean, I'm a father of 3 daughters, so I so understand. And that was one of the things that, you know, when I became a father, I thought to myself, you know, when it's all over, I want my children to look at me and think to themselves, you know, he might have done too much, but he surely didn't do too little.
Right.
You know, and I could live with that. I couldn't live with them coming saying, "Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?"
Right.
And, you know, it was like, I mean, realistically, my life up to that point had prepared me perfectly to be a good parent. I just didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And,
So,
you know, I mean, shout out to your mom, man. I'm a
oh
big
yeah. I
your
mean,
mom
that is literally, I mean, I was prepared because of her. You know, she was my model and she did such a splendid job, you know? So, but yeah, so ultimately the college just kind of turned me into that. I realized that my problem solving was there. So I decided to try to continue to chase my dreams with a family business. Didn't work. So I basically started a business. The first business failed. You know, it was actually funny enough. It was a food prep business way before its time, you know, way before. We're talking, 25 years ago, maybe a little more. Yeah, but nobody ever heard of it. It actually did pretty well, but the logistics is what killed me. But anyway, so I started another business. I was like, you know, as a college kid, I used to make great money in summers just knocking on doors, asking if I could paint someone's house. So I started a painting business. And ultimately, 5 years later, I'd grown it to 20 employees, sold it for $500,000 because during that time, as I'm growing my business, I had created this business where I could still maneuver to chase my dreams. I had become professional. I'd become a professional pro strongman because it turns out I was much stronger than I knew when I was younger.
Right.
Sold my business and went on tour as a pro strongman. So literally, that's where life just completely, and even strongman is problem solving.
Yeah.
I got to pick up this 400-pound ball. How the hell am I going to get this done today?
Right.
And
not kill myself doing
it. Yeah. And so basically I had a great run in strongman. I was also doing real estate, flipping houses, you know, on the side when I was not in Europe, and ended up, you know, having a back surgery, that sport's pretty tough on you. So I ended up having a back surgery. And at the time, my agent said, well, listen, if you want me to continue to represent you, we got to get you in a position where you're making money again. Yeah. So he basically said that you're 34 years old. Yeah. The surgeon said, if you go back into the circuit, you're going to be having another surgery inside of a year. says, we need to put you into wrestling. I'm like, pro wrestling? He's like, yeah. I've never even watched it. You know, I didn't know anything about it. I just love the big guys. You know, I like the physiques anyway. So he basically, he fully fraudulated a resume saying that I knew what I was doing and sent it off to a bunch of Japanese companies. And I just took like a 90-day crash course on how to do what I was doing roughly. My seventh ever wrestling match. I did a few of the small ones at high school gyms because we had to get footage to send to the Japanese.
Yeah, you did.
My seventh ever contest is a pay-per-view in Sapporo, Japan, with about 25,000 people. And I'm shitting in my pants. Yeah. I mean, this is great, but I'm excited. I'm scared. But again, I've got this set of problem-solving skills, and I've got it broken down to the most simple formats. Like I can just see the problem, and I can see the path through the problem.
Right.
And I basically did well. It was called a mini tour. I had 3 matches because they could kind of tell there was no other big company I worked for. So it was a test. Right. I did well enough for them to contract me, and off I went. So I basically was off in Japan wrestle. I did that for 7 years. So at 42 years old, they just kind of recycle people, you know, and so basically they released me. So I was like, well, the juice is still flowing here. You know, that thing is still like this, which it still is today. So I came home and said, you know what? I wanted to be a bodybuilder originally. I'm gonna give this a go. So 42 years old, I won my first contest.
Yeah, you did.
Went to a national, won my second contest, became pro in 2 contests, which puts me in a school of 5 people in the IFBB, the International Federation of Bodybuilding, which is like the NFL of bodybuilding, to turn pro in 2 contests. And my dream just kept on going, you know, and it was like, and it all leads back to this problem solving scenario that I developed. Now that parlays from there, that parlays into now I speak, and I basically have a really, really thriving business where I help people anywhere from, you know, do they need mentoring? Do they need, you know, physical fitness help? They need fat loss, whatever it is. And here's the best part. In this whole thing of problem solving, I've developed a system of eating where I can take people that need to lose, say, 50 pounds, and they've tried and failed over and over because they're always hungry, they're always tired, and they're always doing a bunch of exercise they don't want to do. I can teach them to eat in a format where they're never hungry, they have plenty of energy, they sleep well, they don't have to do the exercise they don't want to do, and they can lose that body fat with a great quality of life.
I lost 51 pounds in 90 days.
Holy smokes.
Well,
were you hungry?
I had to.
Were you hungry?
Oh, dude, absolutely. But
well, see, I can teach you to do that without being hungry, brother.
Well, so hungry, you know, hungry is relative, right? So when I'd get hungry, I'd have a handful of almonds, like in the middle, you know, in between breakfast. And I had eggs, mushrooms, onions, and spinach scrambled together for breakfast. I had a salad for lunch with an Italian dressing, right? I had a handful of almonds or pistachios I'd throw in there to give it a little, right? Because there was no beef, there's no meat in there. And then in the evening, I'd have chicken. And there was no skin on it. It was grilled, and I'd have some sort of vegetable. Okay. But I could have as much chicken and as many vegetables as I wanted. I mean, I could just, you know, right. So I ended up, what happened was I got sick in 2017. Or 2018, pardon me, the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. There was a flu going around that was one of the deadliest in decades. And I landed in the hospital, in the emergency room for 7 hours. Went to the doctor the next day, and I said, what do I need to do? And she said, you need to lose weight. And I said, Doc, I've lost 104 pounds. And she said, well, you need to lose more, and you need to do it now. I ended up losing another 58 pounds altogether, but I lost 51 pounds.
Good for you, brother.
In 90 days, took my A1C from 8.2 down to 5.5.
Good for you, bro.
Right. So I learned, and I did it all using a book called Eat Great, Lose Weight by Suzanne Summers. The whole thing. I was all recipes from that book. And it was literally her principles in terms of you don't eat carbs, protein together. If you're going to eat carbs at all, I eat absolutely no carbs for 90 days. But if you're going to eat carbs, you eat them 3 hours after you eat your protein, right? So you have protein and vegetables, you have carbs and vegetables, but you just keep them separate. And dude, I felt like $1 million. I still do. I mean, I still use that diet today and I still feel
Yeah.
amazing. You know, I had a 50-inch waist, 50-inch
Wow.
waist, and I'm now at a 36. So, and I'm 57.
Well,
So,
and you know what I'm hearing you say, brother, is you've taken these principles and you've found what works for you. And that's what my system is all about. My system is about, I don't have this set thing that I force down people's throat. What I've discovered, my problem solving ability basically gives me the ability to read the signals of my clients, register what they are, understand what to do next, and it turns into a feedback loop. And every one of my clients has a different formula. I teach it to them and I set them free, meaning I change their life because they don't have to be in a battle with food anymore to be happy, healthy. And that's now changing people's lives is, and this literally goes back to some of the stuff that Arnold had said. He said, you know, you get to get a certain point where focusing on yourself is going to become a second seat where you want to help others. And that's where I am in my business. In my business life, that's really where everything exploded, when I really put my heart and soul into helping others. And that's why it's done so well. I mean, I've always been successful in business, but the type of success I'm having now is because I'm truly, truly focused on helping others, not making money. Money just comes because I'm focused on changing lives.
Well, you're bringing value. Anytime you bring value, value is brought to you. Okay. It's the way it works. You focus on the right things and you do the right things. That's what you've done your entire life. Right. And you should have a massive amount of abundance coming your way simply because of the value that you're providing to people. And I don't know if you get into this, but one of the things that I discovered in that 90 days was I had a true honest and goodness addiction to food. And it was not,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I still have a food addiction.
Yeah, it was not the food that was in my diet. Okay. It was the food that I wasn't supposed to be eating. It was Reese's peanut butter cups. It was, you know, McDonald's.
Sugar, brother. Sugar. The studies now,
Pepper, right?
Brother, the studies now are proven. This is not a question mark anymore. The brain chemistry that a heroin addict has is the same brain chemistry that a sugar addict has. And the difference is you can just, it's real easy to get away from heroin. It's not easy to get away from sugar. Sugar surrounds us. You know, you have to seek heroin. Sugar seeks us.
It's true. You know? It's true.
But
and so easily, I mean, you know, right? There's a drive-through here. There's, you know, right? And I was one of those people that I was working 90 hours a week. So I would need something to eat. So I'd go and I'd pull into a drive-through. Some of the people at some of these fast food restaurants locally here knew me on a first name basis. I mean, I'm not joking. I'd pull in and they go, you want the usual? Right? Hey, Mike, you want the usual? Right? I mean, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
No, it's crazy. I mean, but that's the way that so many Americans live their lives.
Yeah. Dude, that 90 days was as much detox as it was anything for me. It was one of those things where I had to recognize that addiction you're talking about. It was like heroin, man. It was like finding a bed, you know?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, it's for me, I can control my food issues and I teach other people to do the same thing. When the first step is to say, yes, I have issues with food. And yes, I'll always have those issues with food, but I'm going to learn to manage those issues so they don't destroy my life anymore.
Yeah. Well, and they literally said to me, they said, listen, if you don't change right now, you're going to die. You're not going to be around to walk your daughter down the aisle. You're not going to be around to see your son graduate from college, which, by the way, both of them have now graduated. I was there for both of them. But it was one of those things where my daughter was a senior in high school. My son was a freshman in college. This was a real wake-up call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? And, you know, God slapped me upside the head and I listened. Right? And I basically just said, okay, well, this is not an acceptable outcome. Let's go solve the problem. Let's go figure it out. And we did. Right? And thank God for my wife. I told my wife, I said, take me to MetaFast. What? I said, take me to MetaFast. You heard that, doctor. She just said I need to lose more weight. Take me to MetaFast. A guy that I know here in San Diego lost 93 pounds with them, right? And I said, take me to MetaFast right now. And she goes, no. She goes, you've lost 104 pounds using this book, this Suzanne Summers book. We're going to go home and dust it back off. And if you don't respond in the next couple of weeks, I'll take you to Medifast. But if your body responds, dude, I lost 20 pounds. And it was like, okay, it's responding, right? I'm seeing the progress. Progress is the key.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and what it comes down to, I love that you just said that, because if you take that little statement and you apply it to daily life in any venue of our lives, that little bit of progress every day is what gives us the fulfillment to want to do it again tomorrow. And as long as, like, that's one of the things I teach, is that we create these little rhythms and habits in our lives, which then kind of guarantees those little steps. And those little steps, I relate to golf. I'm a terrible golfer, but in that 18 holes, I'm going to have one shot and it's clean. And it's like, that's the shot that brings me back the next time.
Right.
Well, and if you can create those, if you make one of those shots every day through some habits, you can't wait to do it again tomorrow. And when you're getting better a little bit every day, life changes so fast. Most people have this rhythm of life, and their life never, ever, if anything, it's drifting the wrong way, because you never really stay the same. That's, people say, oh, I'm the same. No, you're not the same. You're a little worse. You're just not being honest with yourself. Because if you're getting a little better, you would feel it and you'd want more, you know? And so just the simplest, I mean, in literally just a few minutes per day, you can lay habits in play to make sure that you can't wait to do it again tomorrow. And when you look at this whole thing from a single day-to-day process, again, this is my problem solving. It's very simple. But when you start to think, I need to lose 100 pounds, it's too overwhelming. Don't think about the 100 pounds. Think about what I need to do to feel good about this journey, so I'm excited to do it again tomorrow. And it can be the most minute little steps, but if you're making one every day, it adds up so fast.
Yeah. So I didn't set out that 90 days to lose 51 pounds. What happened was they put me on 6 drugs, including 10 units of insulin that I had to self-inject into my stomach every day. Okay. And it made me feel that all those drugs made me feel terrible. Absolutely terrible. Okay. And so what I did was I said, look, my big focus, my big drive here is to get off all these drugs. And so it was one day at a time. It was one meal at a time. It was, you know, exercise. I mean, obviously you have to exercise, all that kind of stuff, right? So I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I was full on type 2 diabetic, and I was 51 years old, same age my dad was when he was diagnosed. At the end, though, the doctor said after this 90 days, she goes, listen, congratulations, you cured yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, your A1C is now 5.5, which is not diabetic anymore. So I'm taking you off of all of the medication that you wanted to come off of.
Brother, that is so beautiful. That
was huge victory for me.
Yes.
That was huge.
Yes.
The thing is, I focused on what you focus on and what you teach, which is solving the problem. It wasn't, hey, I got to lose 51 pounds. It was, hey, I got to get off of this junk. I got to get off of this junk. Okay. Yeah. And I did. I got off of it. By the way, she said, congratulations, you cured yourself, and we want to hire you. And I'm like, Doc, I've been in real estate for forever, right? Like most of my life. What are you going to hire me to do? She said, I've been talking to the higher ups in our medical group. And she said, we have tens of thousands of patients, Mike, who go through the same type of health scare you went through. And they come back 90 days later and they're heavier. We can't find a single person in this group of tens of thousands of patients that have done what you've done naturally. We don't even have a position in our medical group. We're creating one just for you. We want to hire you to go talk to our diabetes support groups. We believe you can inspire people to do what you did.
That's beautiful, brother.
How cool is that?
That's beautiful. That's absolutely. And, you know, and it's, again, going back to our talk about parenting, it's not about what you said, it's about what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And my kids through my actions, okay, absolutely saw, not heard, saw how important they are to me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because each of them individually asked me, Dad, what's propelling you? What's motivating you? I'm like, listen to what they told me. They told me I wouldn't be here to walk you down the aisle. They told me I wouldn't be here for your brother's graduation. They told me that I wouldn't be here for my grandkids. And that's not an acceptable outcome.
Yep.
So we're going to figure this out, right? We're going to solve this problem.
Yes. Yes.
And now they know
when it comes down,
they are to me, not through what I said, but through my actions.
What you did. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about problem solving is just like anything else that you practice is that you run into problems that are new, but you've got enough different tools in your problem solving toolbox that you can solve the problem. And that's kind of where in my journey in life, it's just I'm 52 now. And I would say my late 40s, it just kind of dawned on me. It was like it was almost like just a ton of bricks dumped on top of me. But that needs to be in a good way, like golden bricks or something. I don't know, but it hit me hard. And it was like everything that happens to you from here on out in your life is good because whatever the problem that's put in front of you is, you're going to solve it and you're going to become a better human being. You're going to help more people. It's like the bigger challenges that get put in front of me, I've got the skills to overcome them, and I've got the skills to help who's ever in the process along the way. And I realize that now I seek challenges. And and when I say this, I don't mean to sound like a pompous ass by any means, but I don't have problems. I have challenges because a problem presents a challenge. I just don't identify with the problem portion of it. I identify with the challenge and the opportunity that sits on the other side of it.
So here's the thing. You've been doing this long enough now at 52 that you recognize that when you have a challenge or you fall short, there's a reason, right? Because and I'm absolutely, we talk about this all the time on the podcast. If you look hard enough, I don't care who you are. If you look hard enough, you will find the positive in every situation. I don't care how bad it is, right? Yeah. And things happen for you, not necessarily to you. You've reached a point now where you're embracing that stuff. You want that to happen because you know now that it's a learning experience. That's a real lesson for people that are listening to this podcast and specifically to this episode. Being able to get to a point to where you embrace that kind of difficulty, SEALs call it embracing the suck, right? We had Randy Hetrick on the other day who founded TRX Straps, TRX Training. He was a former SEAL Team 6 commander, right? Dude's a stud.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But it's literally everything in his life. Like his life story is crazy good and also crazy tough, right? But this is a guy who his entire life has gone out and sought, like he literally got into the Navy, okay? Graduates from USC, gets into the Navy, and turns to the Navy recruiter and says, I want the single largest attrition rate position you have. And they're like, well, that's the SEALs, that's BUD/S, right? And he's like, bring it. I'm in, I'm going, right? Goes to BUD/S, gets through, graduates. He's in for 14 years. This guy is an absolute stud. And you know what's interesting about all this is now he's our age and his 22-year-old son is getting ready to go into BUD/S in Coronado.
Oh man, right? That's cool.
So he's currently in Orange County, and I'm talking to him. He's like, dude, I'm going to be down there, or Marin County, pardon me, Northern California. He's in Marin County. He goes, I'm going to be down where you are coming up because I'm going to be kind of hanging out in case.
Hold on. What's Marin County? I used to live in Marin County. Who's? Because I actually, funny enough, I actually coached a SEAL that lives up there.
Did you? Was it Randy Hetrick?
No, but that's interesting. I bet that's crazy. I don't want to mention my client, but I guarantee they know each other. He's written He's written books. He's a speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a son that's playing D1 football. And the mindset of these SEALs are so beyond. Their kids are the same way. It's like they don't have a choice. Just like we talked about, the kids watch the way these SEALs live their lives, and that's normal to them.
Yeah, this guy sought out challenges. He sought out opportunity to fall short and learn and grow. You know what I mean? And he's got an amazing story, dude. Absolutely amazing story. He's a great guy. In fact, his episode is getting ready to come out in the next few days, and
awesome.
And I'm super excited for him. I mean, anyway, he's got an amazing story, just like you. I mean, you guys have amazing stories, and I'm super excited to have you on as our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up?
I think when it comes down to it, I think what I always like to leave any sort of a talk or a podcast with is anybody listening, just to remember that, the challenges in front of you, the things that are difficult, they are your path of what you want. When you start to learn to veer towards the friction, you're going to end up where you want to go. When you find yourself veering away from the friction, you're going to end up someplace you don't want to be.
Right.
And I always like to use myself as a perfect example. Where I started off, I mean, I still have challenges reading something very difficult. I still have my challenges, but I manage my challenges. Yeah. And knowing where I started and knowing where I am now, if I can do it, you guys can too.
Yeah. I love it, bud. I love it. I am so unbelievably honored that you were our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm going to sleep really well tonight because I barely slept last night. Thank you, bud. It was great to meet you and great to get your story on tape.
I appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure. My pleasure.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.